If I had to sum up today's entire video in a single word, it would be wrong. Honestly, the thing I'm talking about just feels wrong. Sometimes I have evidence and facts and numbers and articles to link you to really show you and break things down why I think they're wrong, but this is one of those days where honestly the vibes are just off. The vibes are off, and I have to acknowledge that. I may not have a factual basis, but maybe when you watch this trailer with me, you'll see where I'm coming from. The Lifetime channel has decided to take one of the grisliest YouTube stories of all time, the 8 passenger situation, and they've turned this into a movie called Mormon Mom Gone Wrong. Which, guys, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And when you look at the fact that this story involved kids in like a really terrible way, and those kids are now calling out Lifetime for not even bothering to contact them before dropping this movie. A movie, by the way, that is dropping not even a full year after Ruby Frank was convicted of her crimes. Something has gone wrong indeed. And in this case, I'm pretty sure it's the Lifetime channel. But first, welcome. My name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of reverse psychological pedagogy, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, I think it taps into a larger issue about true crime and its place in television drama shows. Can you ethically create true crime dramas? Well, regardless of the answer to that, Lifetime has basically dropped an instruction manual on what not to do. So believe it or not, despite the literal hundreds of videos I've uploaded to the internet, there are in fact some things I don't want to talk about. Usually, it's things that I feel like are incredibly messed up that everyone else is already talking about. Diddy comes to mind. I don't want to make a video about P. Diddy. It's a terrible, awful person. And I think we know, as important as it is to call things out, that's just all really triggering, actually. Even though people are making jokes about baby oil and treating it like, I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like maybe I'll let other people discuss things and sit this one out. And that is how I felt about Ruby Franke, the parenting influencer jailed for child abuse. The headline alone is just disgusting. This is a monstrous individual, and she's been sentenced to 4 years in prison because she was literally tying up her children and starving them. And like, this is not up for debate. She pleaded guilty to this. On Tuesday, 42-year-old Frank tearfully apologized in court as she learned her sentence, saying, "I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and right was wrong." She's just demented, honestly. And I felt like, wow, even though I guess I could make some sort of deep dive video about this, I and everybody watching this is just going to come out of it feeling awful, which by the way doesn't compare to how these children were feeling. And so yeah, if you were ever wondering why wasn't there a Ruby Frank video or a video about this other extremely heinous thing, it's probable that I'm aware of it. I just haven't figured out how to call it out in a way that feels right, if that makes sense. Anytime kids are involved, I just, Anyway, her YouTube channel was called 8 Passengers, and she seemed like just one of your average family vlogging channels, which I've mentioned how I feel about family vlogging channels before. I truly despise the lack of regulation for these channels. Vlogging is a job. You are employing your children, and nobody is checking to make sure that this is being done ethically. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you can't ethically employ your children. But anyways, there were obvious warning signs in her videos with her letting things slip, like telling her kids they were going to lose the privilege to eat dinner if they kept horsing around, saying her 6-year-old needed to go hungry because she forgot to bring her lunch. Like, bro, even among family vlogging channels, she somehow managed to stick out like a sore thumb for her treatment of these kids, taking away her child's bedroom and instead having him sleep on a beanbag. Like, who doesn't let their child sleep in a bed? From there, viewers and even people outside of it started discussing this, investigations were held, and, you know, accusing people of taking things out of context only goes so far when there is no context in which the things she was doing would ever be okay. That channel wound up going downhill, and Ruby tried to pivot to a new venture, but she was finally arrested when her 12-year-old son escaped through a window and managed to make it to a neighbor's house despite the duct tape still on his ankles and the open wounds he was covered in, and he asked them for food and water. "Justice is being served," said her eldest daughter, who had been trying to raise concerns about her estranged family with police and child protection services for years. Anyway, that is like just the surface level recap of what happened. If you really want to dive into the case, there are plenty of resources to educate yourself on that. I just hope you understand why I'm a bit reluctant to really get into it here. All that really matters is Frank's children are now safe, according to her sisters and estranged daughter, who said they have a long road ahead to recovery. And listen, you know, I understand why this went viral. As horrible as it is, it's also unique. So I understand why people became interested in the story. But unfortunately, those interested in the story include Lifetime. So Lifetime is a TV channel known for their Lifetime movies. And if I had to sum up a Lifetime movie, they're basically like low budget, dramatic, campy. And I mean, that's just the movies. Seeing as this is the same channel that gave us Dance Moms, I think that should probably tell you how ethical they are. Not. Oh, but of course, they are committed to offering the highest quality entertainment and information programming and advocating a wide range of issues affecting women and their families. Yeah, sure, Lifetime, sure. So I guess this is a high quality issue affecting women and their families, question mark. Mormon Mom Gone Wrong. To their web series viewers, Ruby had the perfect life, but it took a turn. Even just the fact that these people have used the term web series says how out of touch they are. I would have just said subscribers or followers, but I get it. Anyway, they have a description for this movie that honestly is giving ChatGPT, I won't lie. Ruby's views of disciplining children were not strict parenting, but actually abuse. But when Ruby's 12-year-old son escaped from Ruby and Jody's real-life house of horrors with clear signs of abuse, the truth came to light. How could this idolized, family-friendly mother of 6 and her spiritual guide transform into convicted child abusers? Find out in this riveting Lifetime original movie. I hate this. I haven't even pressed play and I just hate. Oh, don't miss the drama, guys. Don't miss the drama. She was convicted in February. It is October. It has not yet been a year, y'all.
Ruby Franke's parenting vlog surpassed 2.5 million viewers.
She forgot her lunch today, so the natural outcome is you will need to go hungry.
This does seem to just be a shot-for-shot remake of what happened in real life, which I can't think of anything more unnecessary than that. There literally seems to be no original perspective being brought to this whatsoever.
Your children's souls are in jeopardy. Together, we're gonna make them perfect.
Even the way that this is being framed is making the intentions very obvious. Ripped straight from the headlines. This is all being presented as like a don't miss the drama situation. And focusing on the morbid fascination aspect of this case is probably the absolute worst thing to fixate on. That is what matters the least. Yes, it is actually crazy that this happened, but taking that, whoa, that's crazy, dude, feeling and fueling an entire movie off of it is just insane to me. Why not say something about the case? Why not say something about the kids? Why not help them in some way if you can? I would feel differently about this again if this hadn't just happened.
No more living in distortion. There's only truth and responsibility.
Jody is God's messenger.
And presenting this as like a horror movie is crazy to me. You guys do realize this thing that you're making a dramatic movie about actually happened, right?
Jody?
Mormon Mom Gone Wrong. The Ruby Franke story. Part of truly unbelievable movies. A ripped from the headlines event.
Hated every part of that. Thanks, Lifetime. But hey, that's just my opinion. Imagine how the kids are feeling about this. And we don't have to imagine because one of them has spoken out. Ruby Franke's daughter slams quote-unquote trash Lifetime movie about her family. And so her daughter, Sherry Franke, who is currently 21, wrote on her Instagram story, a note about the Lifetime movie coming out about my family. I saw the trailer suddenly in class and had an anxiety attack. None of us were contacted about the movie. None of the proceeds are going to the kids. This movie is trash and only hurts my siblings more. Please do not support this movie. And personally, I stand with her 100%. I don't really care what anybody else thinks about this. There are victims in this situation who are saying they are getting triggered by this. And thankfully, people seem to realize that. So Lifetime actually posted this on their YouTube channel. And the top comment right now is from Sherry saying, "This is shameful. This movie should not be supported, let alone released." I'm very glad she said something. And I'm very glad people in the comments are saying, yo, don't watch this. These kids are traumatized enough, as one person says. You are horrible to create this without the consent of the children. Absolutely disgusting. Barely a year from these events occurring and a movie has been made. Dude, I genuinely, I keep saying I hate this. I don't know how to hate it any stronger. I wish there was a stronger word than hate. This makes me uncomfortable. And again, I am just hearing about it, let alone actually being in that position. This extremely traumatic event is still so fresh for them, extremely disappointing and disturbing, but it's so clear that Lifetime doesn't care. There is absolutely no incentive for them to care about this. First of all, if they cared, they wouldn't have made it. You know it's not good when a comment calling this out for existing has almost 4 times as many likes as the video itself. It's insane how even if there was a universe in which this could have happened without being exploitative, Lifetime didn't even consider it. They just threw that away the moment they decided not to bother checking with the kids. As this person says, they are literally re-traumatizing the kids, and between using their names, the word-for-word transcripts, Lifetime is straight up just cashing in on their abuse, as this person puts it. And so the stance I'm taking is pretty much the same as everyone else in the comments. I am just not going to watch this. It's wild that Lifetime has left like no room for nuance here. I don't think anybody disagrees that this should not be supported, obviously. This doesn't even matter, but the movie itself doesn't even look good. Can I just point out that the trailer, even in a vacuum, would be literally terrible? But no, throw in the extra context and it's just completely indefensible. And honestly, this is kind of the part of the video where I would really like to open it up to a discussion. How am I supposed to feel about true crime? I don't know if you've noticed, but I've never talked about true crime channels. I've never talked about true crime drama. Even the phrase true crime drama annoys me for some reason, just viscerally. To be clear, I've watched things like The Dropout, which is about Elizabeth Holmes, right? The Theranos scammer lady. I've watched things like The Staircase. But honestly, those are both kind of older, I think maybe a year or 2 old, because I hit a certain point where I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this. Yeah, these shows can be objectively well made, but then you watch one and it just starts recommending all these other ones. And the conclusion I basically came to is like, not all true crime shows are created equal. There are some that just completely butcher the stories they're telling just to make it more interesting. There are others that seem to try to do the stories justice, but I don't know. I really did hit a point where I was just like, it might just be easier for me not to watch. I'm not a true crime girly. I clearly am not cut out for this. The same kind of goes for true crime on YouTube. I don't watch any YouTube true crime channels because, again, they tend to depress me, and I feel like I don't even have a right to be depressed. Like, people are uploading stories about people being literally murdered, and I'm like, oh, this makes me feel bad. Well, how do I get to feel bad? I'm alive. There was actually this channel, Maverick Files, a true crime channel that just stepped back from the genre entirely. I'm retiring the Maverick Files channel. Full transparency. It feels like I'm monetizing trauma, death, and gore. For a long time, I would tell myself I'm trying to do a good thing, I'm spreading awareness, but I feel that Maverick Files has become exploitative, practically dependent on misery. And I hope this doesn't come across as me, someone who admittedly does not watch true crime YouTubers, saying this entire genre is bad and exploitative. This is coming across as me, someone who wants to love all YouTube videos, trying to get into the genre, getting icked out immediately, and then even seeing some people within the genre say, yeah, I was literally monetizing tragedy. And it's kind of touchy though, because really the entire internet is a monetized tragedy when you think about it. I have talked about terrible things on my channel and will continue to do so because I too think I'm spreading awareness usually, but I just hate stories where people die. I hate stories where it ends in absolute, utter, irredeemable tragedy. And that's the line I draw for myself, not for other people. I won't say, oh, nobody should ever be uploading a true crime video. I'm just once again explaining I could never be a true crime girly. I'm clearly just not built like that. People in the comments of Maverick Files' community posts were supportive, saying things like, sometimes even as a listener, I feel guilty finding entertainment from real people's traumatic experiences. I can't imagine what it's like filing through them all the time to eventually monetize off of. And that's kind of me and my experience as well. More power to anybody who can sort through all of that and then find the truth to tell in a way that helps people. But y'all, I can't. I can't. There's plenty of channels on YouTube. I will leave that to them. But if you are somebody who watches true crime content enough to discern what is good and what is bad, I would love to hear more about that. But that's my take on the situation. Dave's take is that the true crime is the fact that Lifetime still exists somehow. Have they ever made a good movie? One must wonder. And I'm of course excited to hear your take. I mean, this is the part of the video where a layman would ask you to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment, but I will ask you to enroll, evaluate the video, and submit your feedback. Because I'm of course running a 100% completely, totally, all the way, okay, maybe not really, somewhat unaccredited university. Probably. Just ask anybody in the student body and they'll confirm it for you. We're totally legit. And as for me, whether you'll see me in 24 hours or 24 months is honestly anyone's guess. But until then, thanks for watching. Your homework for today is to not support the movie. It's not hard.